A while ago I went to the zoo to take some samples. One of the samples was from the pygmy hippopotamus enclosure. Let's see what I found. As we saw last time, it is possible to find insect larvae in almost all bodies of water. And this is also true for crustaceans. However, not large crustaceans like crabs and lobsters, but tiny crustaceans like water fleas and daphnias. Daphnias have a completely transparent exoskeleton, which allows us to see their beating hearts in the back of the animals. Just beneath the heart is a cavity which the females use to store and protect their eggs until the next generation is ready to enter the real world. There are many different species of Daphnia across the world, but most of them are roughly 0.5 to 5 mm in size. So they are not impossible to spot without a microscope. On the bottom of the muddy water amongst the dead leaves lives a lot of tiny worms with about the same thickness as a human hair. But don't worry, they're not dangerous. The worms mostly feed on decaying plant material and thereby aid in the recycling of nutrients so they can be used for new organisms. The tiny puddle I took this sample from is poorly oxygenated. But because the worms rely on oxygen for the metabolism, they have found a rather creative and a bit strange way of getting the oxygen they need. In the back end of the animals, they have evolved the worm equivalent of gills. These gills are usually tucked away, but can be spread out if the worm needs oxygen. That would roughly compare to if our lungs came out of our back end every time we needed a breath of fresh air. Another very common worm that lives in many freshwater habitats are these beautiful Aelosoma worms. Unfortunately, these worms don't have butt lungs, but instead their mouth works a bit like a vacuum cleaner. When they feed, tiny structures inside their mouth create a current that sucks in their food. So other than the crustaceans, the pygmy hippopotamus shares its tiny waterhole with tiny worms with butt lungs and vacuum cleaner mouths.